fodder is feed stuff that are fed to domestic animals. These domestic animals we mean by livestock, rabbits, all the animals that we keep in our farms. And these fodders include what we have in our country. We have maize, we have sorghum, we have lucerne, we have desmodium, we have sunflower, we have bracharia. We have a variety of those fodder crops. Conserved fodder crops, they are rich in nutrients, and also more so we have increase in dry matter, which in our case we abbreviate to DM. And also we have increase in crude proteins. So when you feed for the fresh fodders, they have high moisture content. So when you feed those animals, they take much water, and you realize some of those animals have loose stool. So you lose a lot of nutrients when the animal is not absorbing all the water in the feeds, and you lose more nutrients. So in our case, we advocate for conserved fodders like silage, like hay, etc., etc. Now, Beatrice, this is called alfalfa or lucerne. The crop is very rich in good proteins. The best stage to harvest this crop is when it is in the blossoming stage, the flowering stage. This particular crop is very dangerous, especially when you feed to the animal when fresh. Since the nutritive value for this crop is very high, farmers are not advised to feed in huge chunks. Farmers are only advised to feed only a small portion. Then you incorporate with other fodder crops, but the provision of the requirements will still be fine. When you are doing dairy animals, the first thing you're supposed to ask yourself, what do you want to do? What are your achievements? In our case for dairy production, we target the milk production. So we need to go for those fodder crops that will give the animal the required nutrients. For example, you have lucerne, which is rich in crude proteins. So you also need feeds, fodder crops, which will provide the animal with energy. In our case, for energy providing crops, is like the maize and at the milk stage. We also have sorghum. The sorghum also provides the energy. For proteins, we have desmodium, we have lucerne, we have energy providing like sunflowers. So we have a list of fodder crops that a farmer can give to his or her animals. For poultry, this is not practiced in our country mostly, but for the fodder, we advise farmers to do what we call hydroponics. Hydroponics, in this case, we mean you grow like wheat or barley under water, which has already been supplied with fertilizers to get good requirements. In this case, you realize it's a cost effective because 1 kilo of wheat or barley will give 6 kilos. In this case, you provide the animal with the grain itself, the roots, and also the top part, which is the shoot. So you provide the animal with the required nutrients, the energy, the proteins, and also the micronutrients, and also the growth factors, which are hormones in this case. I would like to advise our farmers to focus on various fodder crops depending on the nutritive values of different fodder crops. For energy, for the proteins, and also other requirements like the minerals. So for farmers, let them focus and do different crops and also do the right thing. If they require to be dried, sun-dried, if they require to be for silage, let them do what is supposed to be done.
A good cowshed is easy to build and keep up as long as you take good of the structural post and the floor. Water and ants are two of the many things that destroy the structural post. One can protect the structural post by having a concrete floor, using plastic tubes at the bottom of the structural post to protect them from water and ants. Each cow should have their own resting area called a cubicle. The cubicle should have a roof to protect the cow from the rain. The cubicle should have enough space for the cow to be able to turn around. Wooden or metallic rail should be used to separate the cubicles. There should be ample space between the feeding and sleeping area for the cow to maneuver around when not eating or sleeping. The feeding and sleeping areas should be raised and the sloping middle area to be able to collect manure. The feeding shaft should run along the length of the shed. Each cow should have its head control space to be able to feed properly. The calf pen should have open slides to allow free air flow, but also contain the calf inside. This is how an outlook of a near complete shed should look like.
Thank you so much for keeping us company, and I hope you learned a thing or two. Please follow us on our social media handles, Arable Africa, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Follow me on my social media handles, Faraji Kevin, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Please ask us a question, give us your comments, and we'll be so glad to talk to you. But just before I go, I'll be leaving you with the last segment, market value, where you can know what to buy, when, where, and at how much. See you, baadaye. Bye.